Welcome to Love, Growth, and Freedom with Adrian Duarte. And today's topic is going to be something dear to me again. Actually, all of my topics are dear to me. And I just want to let you know that I am very thankful for all the people who's been listening and supporting this podcast. It's because of you. That's why my podcast has been growing. And also, I am grateful for you taking the time to listen for the thoughts and all of the things that came about when I make my episodes and my podcast. I really am grateful. If you want to continue supporting, please do leave a review on my Apple Podcasts so that it could help reach a lot of other people. And also, you can see me at Spotify, Love, Growth, and Freedom, YouTube, Love, Growth, and Freedom, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Breaker, Anchor, so many more. And also, you can see me at Lim on Instagram, Love Growth Free on Twitter, and Love Growth and Freedom on Facebook. So let them know if you guys want to let someone know on this hitch train of Love, Growth, and Freedom, a podcast that believes in love, acknowledges growth, and encourages freedom. All right. So today's topic is how to heal from a broken heart. It's a topic that I want to share because I guess, I have written all the tips that I know, consolidated from all different psychological journals, psychological channels that I've been watching on how to get over a breakup. And I guess this is one of the most objective and logical way that I knew how to deal with it. So, fair warning and disclaimer, getting over a heartbreak and dealing with a broken heart is actually quite different for each of and every person. So it may not work for you and it may not work for me, or it may work for me and not work for you. It can go about two ways or many more ways than that. But I just want you to listen to this podcast and an episode with a grain of salt. If this works for you, then great, tell me about it. But if it doesn't, please do keep trying to figure out what it is that works for you, because for me this was one of them. And I guess this is the way I knew how to deal with my emotions too. So again, this is a consolidation of what I know how to deal with, and also like what other websites, psychological journals, and truths hold upon that. So, how to heal from a broken heart? When our hearts get broken, we lose a huge part of ourselves. In relationships, we allow ourselves to integrate with someone, to build a life with that certain person, and when it all ends, it feels like your life force is drained from your body. It is all different for everybody. Heartbreak is very complex and very similar, yet also so different from each other. You would hear the same grief and pain and broken hearts, but you would see how easier but you would see how they're all differently broken into pieces. Some were broken with bigger pieces where it's a little easier to piece them back together. And when you've got some hearts who were shattered into millions of them, these fragments cannot be rebuilt but only transformed to something new. The thing here is that we all heal. So how do we do it? It's different, first off, for everybody. Coping mechanisms work, but to a certain extent only. And heartbreaks are never easy, but a part of life itself. Why are they important? Why do you think heartbreak happens to each and every person we know? Why it is inevitable? First, it is a lesson. It is a teacher of things that we want, or things that we didn't know about ourselves, that make us a bit of like a pill to take. Sometimes it also teaches us how to love unconditionally, transcending the common notions of what love should be. It makes us stronger and much more aware of the love we should strive to give and have. So heartbreaks really teach you all of those, like what love brings. And to actually love and let yourself love someone and be loved, it is you putting yourself out there to get hurt, because that's inevitable. When you put emotions and feelings into something, getting hurt is part of it. So we learn more. We learn more in getting to do that. So what are my tips? I'll give you 5 tips to actually get over a heartbreak, or a heartbreak, a ghoster, a dumper, whatever that is, or a cheater. But at first, we were talking about acceptance, forgiveness, and healing. So when the truth comes in, when something of your reality comes to a part where you have to break up with a certain person, keep distance. Okay, keep distance. Initial reactions of pain, grief, and anger will wash over you. So you have to be very careful with what you want to say, because you don't want to scar this person for life if you have to say something that you would regret at the end of the day. So hold in. Try to keep distance. Really just move away from the situation, especially when you know that you're not going to bring any good anymore. After really ending things, disconnect from each other. So on both parties, I encourage you to take just block off all communications. It's not healthy to keep communicating with that person because you wouldn't be able to let go and you'd be always sucked into that relationship even when it's really super toxic na for you. So block all communications and social media that would remind you of that person. This is to untether and unlearn some of the things that you know from each other. You know, because when you've been with this person for quite a while, and you've learned how this person is, how he communicates or she communicates, and how you both deal with things, you really get to learn so much of the patterns, behavioral patterns. So, untethering and keeping distance will make you rediscover yourself more and how you really deal with things without external forces. Temporarily blocking this person and all other people surrounding that person is quite acceptable. You know, it's understandable because seeing them would actually just remind you of what you once had. So, yeah, keep distance. That's the first one. After you keep distance or while you keep distance, you have to feel. You have to feel your emotions. I keep telling you about feeling. So, just keep feeling is number 2. Let your emotions out because being like someone who bottles their emotions can cause you to lash out and actually ruin other relationships more than rebuild relationships with your friends and a lot of other people, and they wouldn't understand where you're coming from if you keep like your emotions bottled and not like expressing it. So reflect on it and be with your own thoughts. Know how this emotion is like, you know, changing you, or how is this emotion washing over you and making you think of the life that you have once had and what life you will have. Understand the pain and the hurt and try to think of the things that could help you move on. So with you sitting down with yourself, you know what hurts you, you know what hurt you in that situation in the past, and you would better know like how to deal with it. Like you would know how to work with it, work on it, see it in a light that you don't usually see. So let your emotions out. Find outlets to let these emotions go, like singing breakup songs. I sing Best Thing I Never Had, Picture to Burn, Bleeding Love, so many more actually. And I dance to Don't Start Now in my room, Electricity. I do have dance parties just when I feel like heartbroken and like really tired and sad. I cry my eyes out when I want to, and sometimes I watch the sad movies to make me cry. Like I really do find all the movies that makes me cry and like I try to cry it out because feeling that makes me feel a lot lighter. When you feel the emotions, it makes you feel a lot lighter. It makes you feel like you're able to release all the negativity that was like bottled in, and write it down, exercise, socialize, and do catharsis. So when you feel and like understand your feelings, you know what to do now. You know what you want to work on, and you know where your life is heading afterwards. You know what you want to do. So while you're feeling this, the third step is also can be simultaneously done or after. When you're keeping distance, feeling yourself, you know your emotions, and you can express them properly, you can ask now the support from your friends. You can ask them to hear you out, understand where you're coming from, and understand where that person's coming from so that they could have a opinion that's actually away from the bias and lets you understand logically what really happened and what went down, and you know what it actually means sometimes, because sometimes you get biased and clouded with the judgment of you have for yourself. So reach out to your friends, let them know the state you're in, because they wouldn't know what you're going through if you don't tell them, and how could they help you if they don't know that you're hurting. So let them know you're hurting, let them know you're in grief, and then you allow them to help you in the best way they know how, because sometimes these friends of ours know so much better than we do about ourselves and know so much better how to make us feel better about ourselves. So, with allowing this, your support system helps you in times like this, and you would rediscover how loved you were even before the whole relationship. You would rediscover how you were filled and abundant with love and attention and care from the people around you that you actually forgot to notice, or not really forget to notice, that you actually somehow neglect to notice because you were focused on that relationship, tending to that certain relationship. Sometimes you feel like isolation is the best thing, but with your support system, it would help you carry the load a little better than you normally would. So at least they would know how to help you. They could be your crutches. They're not your wheelchair to not like to just support you all throughout your life. No, they're your crutches. They're here to help you out, stand up on your own 2 feet, figure out where you're going again as a person who's been broken, and lead you to a way that you want to be and want to go. But I have a fair warning to all of you: don't overuse your broken-hearted card, because sometimes a lot of our friends deal with a lot of things too. So if you keep coming to them with all your problems and like not even giving an effort to like change the way you see it or like heal, it will actually get into them and they kind of like find you toxic afterwards because it's like you don't even want to heal. It's like you're just asking to just, I just want to be wounded and injured for the most of it. And that's not nice. All right, write and talk it out is the fourth step. You can do this simultaneously too, or something that you can just do. Write it and talk it out. You know, when you write it down, you get to express your emotions, your feelings, and your thoughts. You get to see and think out loud on your own that sometimes things happen like this and sometimes it hurts, and you can write it down on your notebook how you feel about it. And at that certain point, you can understand now why you're feeling that, and you could actually digest it and keep tabs on it. And with writing it down, you can have a comparison of point of comparison on how you felt on a certain day and how you felt 2 weeks from now, 3 weeks from now, next month, and whatever. So you would understand that there is progress little by little. For example, this day I didn't look at his Twitter and I didn't feel bad, or I felt bad today, but the next week after you didn't feel bad looking at his um or her social media, and then the next one is you never even looked at her social media or his social media. So that's a step. You get to see that. But with writing it down, you could also like think out loud. Again, thinking out loud makes you wonder and think logically about the thoughts and the feelings that came about that breakup and that hurt. After that is talking it out, or with that is talking it out. You can talk it out with your friends since you've asked help from your friends, and a lot of people already know about your situation. You could talk about the situation. At least, with this, talking to it about or talking about it to people, you actually release some of the thoughts again. And hearing your words out loud makes you rethink of certain situations and realize some of the things that you could actually be accountable for as a mistake, or the things that you've done that could have been done better. It's not always who is right. So that's the reality of all relationships and why it ends. It's not always you who's right. It's not always that person is right. It's really actually both parties having fault at miscommunicating, failing to tell each other what they really want to know and feel. So when you talk it out, it gets easier for you with the passing of time. You'd realize when you hear your thoughts out loud, it wasn't as perfect as it was. So yeah, another thing that I want to share to you while you write it out and talk it out, you could also speak it out loud in front of you if you want. Um, I watched it inside to go. Ways to forget about an ex or ways to get over an ex is you write down the pros and cons of the relationship. You write down the things that you like about this person, the things you hate about this person, or the reasons why you broke up with this person or ended things with the person, and the reasons that you want to stay. And sometimes, or most of the time, you'd realize the reasons that you have to go or had to break it off was really because it wasn't really working out anymore. It was really toxic for the both of you. So write them down, and you would see how and why the relationship had to end, and prevent yourself from falling back into that relationship that needed to end anyway. So you focus on that, because sometimes we always think, and it's a psychological effect and of grief, that we always think about the things that we lost, and we actually have a flashback of good memories, and like we remember all the good memories, all the good things about that person when that person like leaves you. It's a part of our psychological thought or thinking. So with that, it makes you feel like the relationship was perfect and worth staying on. And when you list it down, you kind of see that the relationship wasn't really going anywhere you want it to go. So yeah, that's one thing you could do. Fifth is organize and rebuild. So this is one of my favorite part of it, because organizing and rebuilding. So after you've all get yourself composed, you figure out your emotions, you know what your emotions are, you're able to write it down, you've been reflecting, you know how your life was and is now, and you've become so attuned with what you have now, you're able to try out new things, rebuild out new things. Because I'm sure at the moment that you were trying to get over with your ex, it's mostly like making adjustments to your life. You're nangangapa or adjusting to how your life is now after that massive heartache. So when you organize and rebuild, you have to remember that you have the power to organize your life the way you want it. You have the power to build your life like building blocks, putting it into direction and heights where you want your life to go. So this is the perfect time to do that because you are your own person again. Or, get down with yourself and list out the things you want to do. Being in a relationship, again, consumes most of your time and energy. And with that gone, you suddenly have all the time in the world to do the things that you want. Yun yung mapapansin nyo. That's what you're gonna notice when you end a relationship. There would be like a big hole that you're gonna try to void because all of the time that you thought you had in the world was given to that person. And then now you have it again. Now you can manage to like put it in places where your soul finds peace and enjoy. Like you can do things that appease your soul and your craving to be a better person and whatever. So this is the time to immerse yourself in chasing personal growth, enrolling in classes you've wanted to take, do the sport you'd always wanted to try, catch up with your friends you haven't seen in ages because of your schedule. This is the perfect moment to rebuild your life. Organize them in a sense where you know where your direction is, your future is, your relationships, organize them again, rebuild what was lost because you were not able to tend to it. And then you would realize how much you have in front of you and how much of the things that you want to happen in your life. You have so much ahead of you. Not after this heartbreak, after a heartbreak, it's not the end of the road for anyone. The possibilities are endless for everybody. So rebuild yourself slowly, piece by piece. Build it the way you want it. Sooner or later, you'll see that you were busy, and busy as the busiest or as busier you get to rebuilding your life, you wouldn't notice how different things have been from your past self. You would realize now when you look back a year after, okay, I wasn't the same person that fell in love with this person or that still loves this person that degree. But you're mature enough to say, I have loved this person. This person is a part of my life, was a part of my life, and has taught me multiple lessons. And that in itself is a beautiful thing. You would realize that you're so far from the person you used to be. And then when you look back at it and you say, do you really want to go back to your ex? You'd say no, because you already have different wants, different needs, different things that you're worrying about and focusing on in your life. You have the power to change the things and organize your life the way you intended to. So take power, take control. Know that you have it. You are your own person aside from everybody else. So you have to know that having a partner is not being so codependent on each other, but interdependent. Being two great people combining to be amazing as a couple. It's not I depend on you to be someone fulfilled and whole. You have to be a whole person to be in that relationship. Two whole people being in one relationship. My ending points here would be heartbreak is different for everyone. So the way we deal with this has no certain way or plan. You can go about it the way you want it. You can try all these 5 tips all at the same time, or you could try it one by one, or you could just not try it at all, or whatever. But it is always different for everybody. So I want to also reiterate what heartbreak teaches us. Heartbreak teaches us how to find ways to fill our lives again with things we want. It also allows us to see the flaws we have and strive to be the best version of ourselves. It allows us to find and understand the partner that we truly deserve through this painful lesson. And this certain feeling or heartbreak makes us realize that to love is to be actually ready for pain. To love means to be ready for hurt. And, I want you to find peace in the idea that you have a piece of each other and that in that moment, all was special. So, whatever was in that past, whether it was really so toxic or not, I'm sure you guys shared something really special. That is why it hurts you the most because you guys shared something, a piece of yourself to each other. And all I could say is possibilities are endless for both parties. It's not the end of the road. And if you keep your doors open, maybe you'd be reignited or reunited with this person, or maybe not. And it's okay because that's life and that's how it goes. You get to build one. And maybe, who knows, you get to find the perfect person for you or the person that you are willing to fight tooth and nail for. Yeah, that's it. So I would like to just remind you of all that. know your worth. You're worthy. You're worth more than a lot of things that you think. So being able to become a whole person, knowing what you want and what you want to have and what to be, you get to do it. Choose it. Fight for it. So yes, again, lovies, with all of that, I want to end on a good note. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Please do let me know on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, Instagram at Eduard Lim, Love Growthy on Twitter, and Love Growth and Freedom on Facebook. So lovies, thank you for dropping by. I do appreciate this. I hope you're having a great time wherever you are. I hope you're safe and well. So with that, I end this podcast and episode, and I'll see you in all of my other new episodes. And oh, P.S. I'm gonna have a special Pride episode or a set of Pride episodes coming up this June, and I hope you can tune in because I've invited lots of wonderful friends to talk about what the struggles of an LGBTQIA community or what the community is struggling to fight for. And another thing that I want to share is that the community doesn't just fight for the community itself, but the freedom to express ourselves for everybody. Because being a part of this community, it always has been a struggle to express our true selves. And we're realizing, and I'm realizing, that we're not the only ones who are having trouble in expressing that. Also, it's actually everybody. So listen to those episodes because it's one of the episodes that I've been working really hard on, and I hope you really like it, and let me know your thoughts. So again, goodbye everybody. Thank you, lovies.